Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Punya Bihade Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihade Gopichanna Balaba Kiripada Dade Gopichanna Balaba Kiripada Dade Yasodanandana Brajachanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Bhakti Vedanta Sanghada Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananda Buddhi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Iskon Sampachaya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vrabhacharya Sanghada Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Sanghada Shri Prabhupada Ki Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhumitananda Shri Radha Shri Vasudeva Shri Shri Radha Krishna Bhava Bhavinath Shankunna Radha Kunna Girvaram Vijay Vrindavan Dham Vijay Mathura Dham Vijay Navritam Vijay Ramai Vijay Tulasi Devi Vijay Bhakti Devi Vijay Samavira Bhaktan Vijay Gaura Pramanandi. All glory to the Son of Devotees, all glory to the Son of Devotees, all glory to the Son of Devotees, all glory to Sri Sri Gauranga, all glory to Sri Prabhupada. So we continue. We continue with the Transcendental Diary of Hari Saripadu. Hast du das so gemacht hier? Yeah. So we continue. After settling in, taking his breakfast, an hour rest, his massage and bath, Prabhupada lunch prepared by Miss Saigal with Parika supervising. Then after his nap, he went out into the spacious grounds to enjoy the fresh air and pleasant vista of several acres of well-kept gardens. Accompanied by Surendra Saigal and soon joined by a small group of eager devotees, Prabhupada relaxed on the manicured lawns and entered into discussion prior to his scheduled later afternoon lecture. Surendra has a strong humanitarian side, and he solicited Srila Prabhupada's opinion about M.K. Gandhi's attempt to elevate the so-called untouchables. Gandhi had tried to give them respectability in India, in Indian society, by remembering them by renaming them Harinams. Literary associates of Hari, God. But Prabhupada was not impressed, although he approved of the sentiments behind it. He said that in practicality, Gandhi did not know how to elevate the lower classes. He gave the example of a man who, having obtained a blind son, named him Padmalochana, lotus-eyed. The name was wishful thinking and did not reflect the reality. Similarly, Prabhupada told us, this Harijan movement is a farce because they remain the Chamar and Bangis, and still they are called Harijan. The same thing, no Lochan, but Padma Lochan. Everyone has got right. You can become the most advanced devotee. There's no hindrance, but they must be trained up as Harijan. Not that artificially you simply rubber stamp them Harijan. Therefore, that movement is failure. Interesting. Because actually Prabhupada formed part of the movement of Gandhi before. When he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he presented himself as a follower of Gandhi. And he was actually refuted by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He said, this is just temporary things, temporary changes, where our movement is much more important, transcends all these material conditions. Anyway, and then Harijan. Actually, Harijan means son of God or children of God. And so at the time of Gandhi, he was insisting that also the low-class people would also be able to go into the temple in unclean state and with the bad qualities and all that. But Prabhupada here says this is not a rubber stamping thing. It's not that you just change the name and automatically become children of God, become devotees. But actually it requires some transformation. And Prabhupada, very interesting, Prabhupada is saying here, anyone can become a Harijan, but it requires some training, some proper education. Anyway, and actually I also, many times I mentioned that in India, Gandhi amongst the politicians was a saint. And about the devotees, he was a politician. He actually had no real understanding. No, he was very austere and everything. But he even gave a comment on Bhagavad Gita. No? He said, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is explaining that no, the Pandavas are the senses. No, Krishna is like the mind. No, and all this. And often Prabhupada said, no, the battlefield of Kurukshetra still exists in the north of India. No, and the Pandavas were all personalities. No? This was just an interpretation, a foolish interpretation. That means he had not been trained properly, educated properly. So anyway, so we continue a little more. Next time I will read it from my computer because these letters are becoming very small for me. Advantage in life, he told us, wealth, beauty, learning were obtained by higher permission, granted according to one's pious deeds. It is not accidental that someone is born in a lower position and someone else in a higher. Just as a person gains promotion in his job according to his work record, similarly everyone gets a birth according to their past deeds. Now that means it's not an accident, it's not a casualty. No, that all of a sudden one becomes rich or beautiful or whatever. It's actually all due to our previous activities. In the same way now we're creating our next body according to our activities. And this is the real education, real knowledge. Like I just heard a class, here in class of Prabhupada speaking about Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, and Prabhupada is explaining there something that I never heard so, I say, Prabhupada speaks so much about it, but he said actually India is important on the planet. India is a very important planet, part of the planet, because there's a wealth of knowledge in India, as nowhere else in the world. And I Prabhupada quotes also this verse, famous verse, what is that? Bharata bhumite haila manusya janma yara kari saptaka kari para upakara. Kara para upakara. If somebody is born in India, he is very fortunate, and he should make his life successful. And not only that, but then it says, and then help everybody else also on Bharatavarsha, on this planet, to take advantage of this and make his life perfect. And this is just Prabhupada. You can see it practically in Srila Prabhupada. This instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, that one should make one's life perfect, born in India, and then go all over the world to help people to make their lives successful. Such a nice instruction that Prabhupada was personifying. He was actually giving the example. Any questions regarding this? Ja, bitte. Du stellst immer Fragen. Ja?
Meine Frage ist, ich habe mal letztens wieder einen Christen getroffen.
Ein was?
Einen Christen.
Ach so.
Ja, genau. Und irgendwie, bei denen irgendwie Training ist es die sind sozusagen komplett von der Barmherzigkeit von Jesus Christus abhängig. Also, die sagen, die müssen nichts machen. Also, bei uns, wir versuchen uns jetzt zu bemühen im Bhakti Yoga. Aber bei den Christen ist es mir, also hat er auch gesagt, dass es bei denen jetzt nicht wirklich so dieses.
Bei denen ist nicht wichtig, die 10 Gebote zu befolgen. Oder?
Ja, das ist
sogenannten Christen.
Ha?
Sogenannten.
Ja. Da gibt es auch 10 Gebote. Und Paul hat immer gesagt, das Wichtigste an den Geboten, dass du darfst nicht töten. Ja, wenn das nicht befolgt wird, das heißt, wenn die Tiere schlachten, große Schlachthäuser haben und so weiter, ja, dann können sie niemals wirklich verstehen, was Jesus Christus ist. Bhakti, Paul zitierte Bhakti.7.7.41. Die Bhakti.7.7.41, die sagte, dass Jesus Christus Shakti Avisha Avatar ist. Ne? Bevollmächtigte Person. Und ich werde morgen mal einen Brief lesen, den ich bekommen habe von Srila Prabhupada, ne, wo er über Jesus Christus spricht. Da hatte ich ihn gefragt, ne, nach Jesus Christus. Weil das war ganz am Anfang, das war schon 69, glaube ich, im ersten Jahr, als ich eingeweiht worden war, habe ich ein Problem gehabt auf der Straße. Da waren wir ganz wenige Devotees, ne? So 4, 5 Devotees im Tempel. Das war der erste Tempel in Deutschland. Und dann sind wir immer rausgegangen. Jeden Tag sind wir rausgegangen zum Harinam. Bis mittags und dann nachmittags wieder raus. Den ganzen Tag waren wir auf der Straße praktisch. Und dann eines Tages, dann haben wir immer gewechselt. Ne? Dann immer eine Gruppe gesungen und die anderen haben die Einladung verteilt. Da haben wir noch keine Magazine und nichts gehabt, keine Bücher. Und dann eines Tages habe ich dann plötzlich, da stand plötzlich ein Christ vor mir. Und der hat angefangen zu mir zu predigen. Ne? Und zu der Zeit habe ich noch nicht so viel Ahnung von der Philosophie gehabt. Ne? und die Devotees sind weitergezogen, haben gesungen, die haben sich entfernt. Ne? Und ich stand da mit dem da. Ne? Und dann standen wir in so einem Hauseingang, weißt du. Ne? Und dann kamen wir zurück zum Tempel und war ziemlich verwehrt. Ne? Und dann haben die Devotees gesagt, schreibt Srila Prabhupada. Da habe ich ihm geschrieben, habe ich ihm das erzählt und so weiter. Und er sagte, Prabhupada, das lese ich morgen vor. Ne? Weil morgen ist das der sogenannte Erscheinungstag Jesus Christus. Obgleich es da viele Zweifel drüber gibt. Ne? Dass nämlich, als die christlichen Prediger in die westliche Welt kamen, da haben sie viele Dinge benutzt, wie sagt man, für ihren eigenen Glauben. Das heißt, die haben zum Beispiel, das ist im Grunde der Tag, an dem, der 24. ist, soviel ich weiß, ist der Tag, wo die Tage wieder länger werden. Ne? Vorher werden die länger kürzer und kürzer und dann werden sie plötzlich, ne? Und das ist in Europa, besonders in Nordeuropa, ich weiß nicht, in Deutschland auch zu der Zeit, aber zum Beispiel in Skandinavien, ne, ist das Lichterfest, traditionell. Ne? Überall Kerzen und Feuer und so, ne? Um den Tag zu erhellen. Da zelebrieren sie, dass nämlich die Tage wieder länger werden. Ne? Und das haben dann die Christen, haben viele Sachen übernommen. Ne? Ja, also haben dann gesagt, ja, das ist auch ein christlicher Tag. Ne? Ja. Genau wie in Südamerika auch, ne? In Peru. Da, als die Christen kamen, da haben sie riesige Tempel gehabt, die Mayas. Ne? Und dann haben sie die Tempel zerstört und haben auf den Grundmauern der Tempel haben sie ihre Kirchen gebaut. Ja. Ja, anyway. Das ist nicht so, alles nicht so klar mehr. Ne? Jedenfalls ist das, ich hatte gestern was draußen zu tun und das habe ich bemerkt, dass es unheimlich viele Leute auf der Straße waren. Die wahrscheinlich irgendwelche Sachen gekauft haben im letzten Moment. Ne? Okay, dann machen wir weiter. Ja, das ist im Grunde ein großes Geheimnis, hingebungsvoller Dienst. Wir sind sehr vom Glück begünstigt, dass wir direkt vom Prabhupada zum hingebungsvollen Dienst geführt wurden. Normalerweise Leben nach Leben nach Leben macht man mehr und mehr Fortschritt. Da heißt es so und so viel Leben Karma Yoga, dann Jnana Yoga, dann Ashtanga Yoga, bis man dann letztlich zu dem Punkt kommt, dass man sich angezogen fühlt von der wunderschönen Form Krishnas. Ja? Dass man die Form des Herrn visualisiert. Wie sagt man Deutsch? Ja, visualisiert. Ja? Deshalb heißt es, im Satya Yuga bestand das Ziel der Meditation darin, den Herrn, Vishnu im Herzen wahrzunehmen. Ja gut, dann lesen wir jetzt aus dem Srimad Bhagavatam. Predo hat ein Buch über Jesus Christus geschrieben. Hat er nie veröffentlicht. Ich weiß nicht, was damit daraus geworden ist.
Aber der hat schon ein paar Lecture darüber gegeben.
Ja, sicher. Ja, der hat ja darüber geschrieben. Ja. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Ja, ich kann das leider nicht in Deutsch lesen, weil das habe ich hier in der Vedabase gibt es keine deutsche Version. Weil heute sind wir alle Deutschsprache, ne? Oder? Sprachig. Ja? Ah nee, er spricht nur Englisch. Ne? Anyway, English, everyone understands English, ne?
Ja.
Ist 41, ne?
41, ja.
Ja, okay. Yadartaiha karmani vidvan mani asakrinnadaha karoti ato vipayasam mogham vindate phalam yadartaiha karmani vidvan asakrinnadaha karoti ato vipayasam amogham vindate phalam
Yatatha iha karmani
karmani
vidvammani asaknaraha
vidvanmani asakrinnadaha
karoto ato viprayasam
karoti ato vipayasam
amogham vindate phalam
amogham vindate phalam
Yadarta iha karmani.
yadatta iha karmani
Vidvanmanya sakrinnaraha.
vidvanmanya sakrinnadaha
Karotyato viparyasam.
karoti ato vipayasam
Amogam vindate phalam.
amogham vindate phalam. Yadarta iha karmani vidvanmani asakrinnadaha karoti ato viparyasam amogham vindate phalam. Yadarta iha karmani vidvanmanya sakrinnadaha karoti ato vipayasam amogham vindate phalam. Yadarta iha karmani vidvanmanya sakrinnadaha karoti ato vipayasam amogham vindate phalam. Yat, of which, arte, for the purpose, iha, in this material world, karmani, many activities in factories, industries, speculation, and so on. Vidwan, advanced in knowledge. Mani, thinking himself to be. Asakrit, again and again. Nara, a person. Karoti, performs. Ata, from this. Vipayasam, the opposite. Amogham, unfailingly. Vindate, achieves. Phalam, result. Translation of the verse. A materialistic person, thinking himself very advanced in intelligence, continually acts for economic development. But again and again, as enunciated in the Vedas, he is frustrated by material activities, either in this life or in the next. Indeed, the results one obtains are inevitably the opposite of those one desires. No one has ever achieved the results he desired from material activities. On the contrary, everyone has been frustrated again and again. Therefore, one must not waste his time in such material activities for sensual pleasure, either in this or in the next. So many nationalists, economists, and other ambitious persons have tried for happiness individually or collectively, but history proves that they have all been frustrated. In recent history, we have seen many political leaders work hard for individual and collective economic development, but they have all failed. This is the law of nature, as clearly explained in the next verse. So we also go to the next verse. Sukhaya dukamokshaya sankalpa hiyakarminaha sadapnoti haya dukam anihaya sukhavritaha. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As long as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. Purport. Every conditioned soul is bound by the laws of material nature, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Everyone has achieved a certain type of body given by material nature, according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara sarva bhutanam rityasyaujana tishtati pramayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 18:61. The Supreme Person of Godhead, the Super Soul, is present in everyone's heart, and as the living entity desires, the Lord gives him facilities with which to work according to his ambitions in different grades of bodies. The body is just like an instrument by which the living entity moves according to false desires for happiness, and thus suffers the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease in different standards of life. Everyone begins his activities with some plan and ambition, but actually from the beginning of one's plan to the end, one does not derive any happiness. On the contrary, as soon as one begins acting according to his plan, his life of distress immediately begins. Therefore, one should not be ambitious to dissipate the unhappy conditions of life for one cannot do anything about them. Ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. Although one is acting according to false ambitions, he thinks he can improve his material conditions by his activities. The Vedas enjoin that one should not try to increase happiness or decrease distress, for this is futile. Tasyaiva heto payate ta kovida. One should work for self-realization, not for economic development, which is impossible to improve. Without endeavor, one can get the amount of happiness and distress for which he is destined, and one cannot change this. Therefore, it is better to use one's time for advancement in spiritual life, in the spiritual life of Krishna consciousness. One should not waste his valuable life as a human being. It is better to utilize this life for developing Krishna consciousness without ambitions for so-called happiness. So let's read the two verses again. Oh. Yadartha hiya karmani vitvanmani asakrinnaraha karotiyato viparyasam amogham vindate phalam. A materialistic person, thinking himself very advanced in intelligence, continually acts for economic development, but again and again, as enunciated in the Vedas, he is frustrated by material activities, either in this life or in the next. Indeed, the results one obtains are inevitably the opposite of those one desires. I just read the translation of the next verse. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his condition of distress begins. This is very interesting. No, that like Prabhupada says in the material world, we always try to increase happiness and diminish distress. But there's a verse of Prahlad Maharaj in regards to that. He says, happiness and distress come automatically. If one is suffering, after a while he feels better. And after he feels better for a while, again suffering comes. And that's why he says, Prahlad Maharaj says, don't waste time. Occupy yourself in devotional service, just tolerating these different conditions in the material world. Yeah. Just tolerating these conditions and determined to render service, loving service to Krishna. And in this way everything it takes up a different nature, transcendental nature. And transcendental nature is Satchidananda. The more we become purified, the more we become, we feel that actually, yes, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, I'm eternal. And knowledge is obtained by the mercy of the Lord from within the heart. And happiness means that one will never give it up again, like you all, always come here, you live here, and you don't want to leave, you don't want to go anywhere else. Why is this? Because you feel better, you feel happiness. This is actually the symptom. The more one advances, the more one becomes practically addicted to Krishna consciousness. Doesn't want to give it up again. No? Oh, no? No? You're all examples of this, of this addiction. In the beginning of the movement, most of the devotees had experience with LSD and drugs and all that. And so the devotees published a poster kind of, stay high forever. Because when you take drugs, you up somewhere, you experience something incredible. But then after a while, you're forced to come down again to the way you came from. It's all just temporary. It's just a few moments. But then this poster said, stay high forever. Feel good forever, without interruption. And this is this verse of Prahlad Maharaj always caught my attention. How what it actually means to serve Krishna. That you become free from the dualities of the material world. The dualities. Everything is dual. Everything changes all the time. Now you become attached to something, and due cause of time, this thing becomes more and more, how I say, falls apart. Or becomes good. Like they invest so much money in these expensive, like a car, a computer, like that. And just after a while, you become more and more frustrated with your car. The first time you discover somebody passed there, or wie sagt man, eine Schramme, auf dem Lack, and then you try to get it done, and then noch eine Schramme, und dann hast du dann plötzlich ein Problem im Reifen, und in this way the car becomes more and more disgusting. And you're already looking for the next model, new model, And there's so much cheating, the soul is cheated all the time. You buy a car, as soon as you buy it, it diminishes in value. You cannot sell it for the same price, isn't it? All these machines and the computers and cars and who knows what. All these things it's all cheating going on. Actually, material nature is cheating us. We invest our ideas or our money or our time and so many useless things. In the beginning, they appear very nice, but then after a while they become frustrating. So, and this is what Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to his friends from school. So don't invest unnecessarily in these things, all these temporary things. Just develop your attachment for Krishna. And then what does that mean? Attachment for the devotees, the association, for the deities, for the prasad that is served after class. People come from far away just to eat at midday. I heard this already. Wie sagt man, Abonnements hier, im Prasad. Yes. So this is the reality. And we should become more and more awake to reality and to Krishna consciousness. We shouldn't desire material things. If they're not related to Krishna, nor devotional service. That's a very important point. Don't become attached to things that have no relation to Krishna or devotional service. At least use these things in the service of Krishna. Then they become somewhat useful. Just like a car. You have a car. If you use that car in devotional service, you bring the devotees to Harinam. You go to the market, buy some flowers. Sometimes when I travel with him, he says, "Oh, look, this is here. Close is a market where I always go to buy the flowers or the vegetables or whatever." In this thing, everything becomes Krishna-centered. Krishna should be the center of all our interests, all our activities. If it's good for Krishna, okay. If it's not, well, you have to just detach yourself. Otherwise, you have to go through a lot of bad experience. Maybe I should continue. No? Or you have any questions, comments? So reading the verse 7.7.43. Kaman kamanyate kamyair yat adham iha purushaha savaidehastu parakyo banguro yati upaiti cha. A living entity desires comfort from for his body and makes many plans for this purpose. But actually the body is the property of others. Indeed, the perishable body embraces the living entity and then leaves him aside. Purport, short purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everyone desires comfort for his body and tries to make a suitable situation for this purpose, forgetting that the body is meant to be eaten by dogs, jackals or moths, and thus turned into useless stool, ashes or earth. The living entity wastes his time in a futile attempt to gain material possessions for the comfort of one's body after another. No? This is also very important here, that we're just working on the material platform. We think, we normally, as conditioned soul, we relate everything to the body. As long as there's sense gratification, that's why it's a dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Originally, in more civilized societies, people were educated on the basis of dharma, of religious principles. And in this way, they used to, they developed a good character building, following certain rules, regulations, like we mentioned, not giving pain to other living entities like that, or to speak of killing them like that. And also respect, or humbleness, and cleanliness, and all these things. And then on the basis of that, there is artha, there's economic development. That doesn't depend on your effort, but it's actually due to karma, and to your pious activities, and you become nicely situated. And then, and then there's sense gratification under rules and regulations. Rules and regulations. Or what we eat, all these things. Then, in the end, if people were properly educated at the beginning, they would understand, originally I'm a servant of God, and God is existent. This is actually the purpose of life, to serve God. And when they have passed, this, like in Varnashrama Dhammas and in the ashrams, the first education, then grihastha life, or economic development. Then how to say, when the family, when the children are grown up and lead their own life, then the parents again adopt the life that they have been educated in the beginning. Just like I mentioned many times, sometimes when we meet devotees, older devotees who have been devotees before, and we meet them again, many times they say, "Oh, Maharaj, this was the best time in my life, when I was living in the temple, when I would go out and distribute books." Like that, best time. And this is also like naturally, when you have complied with all your obligations and all this, and you're not able to live a life like when you were young, then naturally you remember what you have learned in the beginning, and then you resign and you renounce. But actually, mukti, and mukti has to also be understood properly. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha has to be understood properly. There's a verse in the second canto. It goes, Muktiritanyata rupam svarupena vivastiti. It's a very nice verse explaining what mukti actually means. It says that mukti means that one recuperates one's position eternal position after giving up gross and subtle bodies. That means you don't end up being impersonal or not existing anymore, but actually you just recuperate your eternal existence after you have been liberated from all these material coverings in the form of gross and subtle bodies. Yeah. So, there was a short. Oh, and also it's interesting here. It's a fact. When the body dies, it's just transformed into stool, or ashes, or earth. Yeah. Like I heard once that actually the pigs, the Schweine, when they are living their natural life, not in relation with humans like that, one of their food is also eat dead bodies. Yeah, they attracted to that. Yeah. Eat cadaver, dead bodies. Yeah. And they transformed into stool. The bodies are transformed into stool. Or they put them into the earth, like the Christians. They spend a lot of money für den Sarg und alle die ganzen Sachen. And then they put them in the earth, and in this way it becomes more and more earth. It's transformed into earth again. Yeah. And ashes. That's our process. Actually, these processes of how you say, cremating the bodies, and then taking them to holy places, to put them in the Ganges or Yamuna or other holy places. It's actually a very nice ceremony. I have carried ashes to Mayapur, and they underwent all these ceremonies and everything. Like once I brought some ashes of one of my godbrothers in Argentina. He had given up his body, so we took some ashes to Mayapur, and and they had a ceremony right a day before Gopurnima. And it's also the day when the devotees go. They have these Tontöpfe. What is that? Yeah. They go to the Ganges to get water for the bathing ceremony the next day for Gonitai. Then everyone goes comes back from the Ganja with the pot on his head. It's a very nice ceremony actually. And before they take the water, there's a ceremony. There's a deity of Ganges, Mother Ganges, and they offer a very nice ceremony before, relating to that they take the water, and just before they return, they have the ceremony of throwing all the ashes of the deceased devotees from all over the world. They bring the ashes there. And I was doing that. Naturally, we normally don't take the whole ashes. We take a little bit, in order to not have problems with the soil and all this. A lot of documentation you have to have when you bring a whole urn in there. That's why we only bring a little bit. And then I was just about to throw the ashes of Kaivalya into the water. The kind of big hand, who also touched the little container that I had brought. Jai Bhataga Maharaj, because he also wanted to take part in the ceremony, because Kaivalya had been very dear to his godbrothers. Jai Bhataga Maharaj also loved him too. And not only that, when they make all this ceremony, what they also do, something very nice, very beautiful. They get leaves, I don't know, I think it was banana leaves or something like that, and they put how say, eine Lampe, Feuer, wie sagt man in Deutsch noch? Feuerlampe? Nee. Öl, ne, nicht Öl, Ghee, ne? Yeah, ghee lamp. and it burns, and they put flowers around it as an offering for the river. No? Yeah. And all these is so nice, and then you see all these lights, no? Flowing, no? within van. No? Actually, all these ceremonies are very, very beautiful. No. Yeah, just like also another ceremony I've also watched. I arrived one day in Mumbai, and Bombay at that time, and I was also undergoing an Ayurvedic treatment, and they had gotten me a room close to the hospital, and so we arrived just that night, you know, when they were all celebrating the arrival of Sitaram, you know, from Lanka. And this is actually the real meaning of, I don't remember the name of the ceremony. It's one of the most holy days in India, they celebrate that. And what they do on that day also, they put a lot of lamps around the doors, you know, of the houses, and they paint the floors, you know, with, wie sagt man, Emblem, wie sagt man das so? No? Am Boden. Mostly with white color. Yeah, and they're very, very festive. People are very festive. So when we arrived, they respected us very much, and they, you know, and they guided us to the house. You know. Actually, the ceremonies are very nice. So we read another verse. Is that okay? Kimmu yaya hita patya duragara danadayaha raj iya kosha gajamatya britya pata mamatas padaha. Since the body itself is ultimately meant to become stool or earth, what is the meaning of the paraphernalia related to the body, such as wives, residence, wealth, children, relatives, servants, friends, kingdoms, treasuries, animals, and ministers? They are also temporary. What more can be said about this? And there's no purpose about it. So let's continue to the next one. Kim metairatmanas tuchai sahadehe nanashvarai anartairartha sankashair nityananda rasodarehe. All this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. But as soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them, but because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationship for the eternal living being? Purport. Krishna consciousness, devotional service to Krishna, is the ocean of eternal bliss. In comparison to the eternal bliss, the so-called happiness of society, friendship and love is simply useless and insignificant. One should therefore not be attached to temporary things. One should take to Krishna consciousness and become eternally happy. Das ist ein ganz kurzer Purport. No, so all die Sachen, die wir im Laufe des Lebens ansammeln, ne, die sind alle nicht mehr existent, so wie wir den Körper aufgeben. Und deshalb sind sie im Grunde nicht so wichtig, wie was wir sie halten. Ja, weil die begleiten uns. In jedem Leben haben wir all diese Dinge. Familie, Kinder und Reichtum oder was immer, ne, was sie ansammeln im Leben. Und da sind wir gezwungen, diese ganzen Sachen aufzugeben. Ja. Aber das Geheimnis ist, ne, als Devotis verstehen wir, ne, alles was, Yat Karochi, Yadashnati, Tat Kurusha Vadalpanam. Alles was du tust, alles was du isst, alles was du fortgibst und alle Opfer, die du darbringst, sollten mir da gebracht werden, sagt Krishna. Das heißt, wir lernen im Krishna-Bewusstsein diese ganzen Dinge, zu ganzen Beziehungen zu spiritualisieren. Nur spiritualisieren. Wie Prabhupada sagt, wenn man ein Stück Eisen ins Feuer legt, dann wird das Eisen heißer und heißer und heißer. Und dann wird irgendwann ist es glühend. Das heißt, Prabhupada sagt, es ist kein Eisen mehr, sondern es ist Feuer. Was immer wir mit diesem glühenden Stück Eisen in Verbindung bringen, das brennt automatisch. In der gleichen Weise hat Prabhupada diesen Ausdruck benutzt, spiritualisieren. Wir spiritualisieren unsere Existenz, unseren Körper und alles, was uns umgibt, zentrieren wir um Krishna und benutzen wir im Dienste Krishnas. Das ist das Geheimnis des Erfolgs im Leben. Dass man Krishna bewusst wird, dass man alles in der Beziehung zu Krishna sieht. Und die Dinge nur Bedeutung haben, wenn sie in der Beziehung zu Krishna stehen. Wenn er keine Beziehung zu Krishna ist. Ein Schüler hat mir gerade mitgeteilt, dass er seine Mutter begleitet im letzten Moment. Diesen Begriff, den Körper aufzugeben. Und dann hat er sich hingesetzt und hat gechantet. Und die Mutter wurde ärgerlich. Was? Nein! Und jetzt haben die Verwandten ihm verboten, alleine mit seiner Mutter zu sein. Und er hat diesen Ort verlassen. Und ich habe ihm gesagt, es ist nicht notwendig, dass du persönlich da bist. Du kannst auch für sie beten. Und weil du ein Devotee bist, hat das seinen Effekt. Im Grunde ist das die größte Segnung, die Mutter hat, ist, dass ihr Sohn ein Devotee ist. Da heißt in den Shastras sagen, dass wenn man ein Devotee ist und Erfolg hat im spirituellen Leben, dann werden so und so viele Generationen vorher und nachher befreit. Die werden Krishna auch lieben. Das ist eine ganz besondere Beziehung. Alle, die einem nahestehen, dass sie auch von Krishna gesegnet werden, auch Krishna lieb werden. Obgleich die das vielleicht gar nicht mitbekommen, dass sie das überhaupt nicht verstehen können. Lesen wir noch einen Vers? Ja, ist noch ein bisschen Zeit. Nirupyatam miha svartaha, Nirupyatam miha svarta kiyandeha britosuraha nishekadishvavastasu krishyamanasya karmavihi. My dear friends, O son of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive activities. Thus he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities which result in hardship and misery? Fruitive activities. Fruitive activity actually means that you are not making an effort to get some fruit, some result. Like that people go to work. They also get up early. Some people have to get up really early in the morning to go to work. But they don't go to Aarti. They don't attend Bhagavatam class, or they don't sit in the temple and chant Hare Krishna. They have to go to the bus or the subway and be cramped with other karmis. Read in the newspaper. Now they don't do it anymore, but normally in the subway they were out smoking also. Whereas when the devotee gets up, joy! Another day for Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, that you're giving me the opportunity to serve you again. Isn't it? No? The body might say, or the mind might say, come on, noch ein bisschen mehr Rast, noch ein bisschen mehr Schlaf. Hört den Wecker und man denkt, ach, 5 Minuten mehr. That's why I do many Tuten, wie sagt man? Yeah. I don't have it only once, but many more times. So I don't become a victim of Maya. And once you awake, when you have gone to the shower, wow, there you are. You're much more inspired. Yeah? That's why in the beginning, I don't know how you do now, but in the beginning we would only take cold showers to really get up, that kind of. Otherwise, if it's warm, then you continue with your consciousness when you were asleep. Anyway, so this is Krishna's mercy. That we are properly guided in spiritual life, that we have the opportunity to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, to associate with the devotees. No? It's so important, this sadhu sangha, this association with devotees. To see how others are also there, punctual, not after 4:30, no, at 4:30 or before 4:30. Because Krishna, Nityananda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are giving us their, Audience. Wir kriegen die Audienz von der höchsten Persönlichkeit Gottes. Ja. Und da sollten wir alle frisch gewaschen und sauber angezogen und so weiter, sollten wir alle erscheinen. Ja. Das ist eine goldene Möglichkeit, dass wir den Darshan haben von Krishna. Ja. Und deshalb sollten wir zumindest pünktlich sein beim Mangalarti. So, ich lese noch einen Vers, ist noch ein bisschen Zeit über hier. Es sei denn, jemand möchte was sagen. Kadamani drabbate dehi dehanathamanuvardhina karmabhis tanote deham Uhayam Chavavi Vekataha. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life. But this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body he creates another. Thus he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. Yeah, das ist unser Problem. Ne? And this is our problem in the material world. Because we are ignorant. Actually, tamo guna means darkness. Tamo is darkness. Just like now we're using light. Yeah. Because otherwise we won't be able to see each other. No, we are involved in darkness. No? In the same way, we are also here involved in darkness, covered with darkness. Yeah? And it's time to come to the light, to go from the darkness to light. And this is only possible by what Prahlad is saying here, by devotional service. Actually, the same activities that bind us to the material world, when they're done with love and devotion for Krishna, are the cause of our liberation. And we cannot stop being active, even when we're sleeping. The body is, torn there, laying there. We keep on being active. The mind goes on. The dreams and all that. Yeah. Sometimes we wake up, wow, this was not reality. That's a dream. So the way to wake up is how we always have heard, by hearing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah, these sound vibrations are very, very powerful. And the more we purify ourselves, the more powerful these vibrations are. Now that's why we always hear about the 10 offenses, because these 10 offenses, they tend to hinder us, or take the power from the chanting. Yeah. Yeah. So, any questions, comments? There's the purpose of, I would say. The living entity's evolution through different types of bodies is conducted automatically by the laws of nature in bodies other than those of human beings. In other words, by the laws of nature, prakriti kriyamana anali, the living entity evolves from lower grades of life to the human form. Because of his developed consciousness, however, the human being must understand the constitutional position of the living entity and understand why he must accept the material body. This chance is given to him by nature. But if he nonetheless acts like an animal, what is the benefit of his human life? In this life, one must select the goal of life and act accordingly. Having received instructions from the spiritual master and the Shastra, one must be sufficiently intelligent. In the human form of life, one should not remain foolish and ignorant, but must inquire about his constitutional position. This is called Atato Brahma Jigyasa. The human psychology gives rise to many questions, which various philosophers have considered and answered with various types of philosophy based upon mental concoction. This is not the way of liberation. The Vedic instructions say, Tat Viganatam Sagurum Eva Bigachet. To solve the problems of life, one must accept the spiritual master. No, it says here, Tat Viganatam Sagurum Eva Bigachet, which describe the two most important qualities of a spiritual master. It means that he have realized the deep meaning of the Vedic knowledge, and he is supposed to teach by his own example. He puts it into practice. To solve the problem, one must accept this. Anyway, so then, if one is actually serious and inquiring about the solution to material existence, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Tat vidi paripatena paripashnena sevaya uparikshantite jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Bhagavad Gita 4:34. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master by surrendering himself, paripatena, and rendering service. An intelligent person must inquire from the spiritual master about the goal of life. A bona fide spiritual master can answer all such questions because he has seen the real truth. Even in ordinary activities, we first consider gain and loss. Then we act. Similarly, an intelligent person must consider the entire process of material existence and then act intelligently, following the directions of a bona fide spiritual master. Yes, interesting. It says here, even in ordinary activities, we first consider gain and loss, and then we act. Similarly, an intelligent person must consider the entire process of material existence and then act intelligently, following the directions of a spiritual master. That means he has to receive some education, some proper education. This is also part of, education. we give a lot of importance to the education when we are young, when we're children. It's also the age where we can learn things nicely. More the time passes, more difficult it becomes to learn, adopt new conclusions or new visions. Okay. So, and this knowledge that one should consider or hear or read is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is like the ABC of transcendental knowledge, the most important book to introduce us. And when we advance further, then the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then, like Prabhupada used to say, first Gita, then Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Well, we are very nicely guided by Srila Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita. His purpose are there to help us, to see things, to understand things properly. Like I mentioned many times, when we started reading the Krishna book, we were surprised how much philosophy the Krishna book has. Then Prabhupada is writing about the pastimes and others, but there's so much philosophy also. In order to protect us, not take these activities of the Krishna Lila as something mundane, like the gopis with Krishna. If one doesn't have the proper guidance, one falls into the trap to think that Krishna and the gopis are just like ordinary boys and girls. I heard once, or I read it, there's a biography about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And it says there that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would not allow his disciples to read books about the intimate relationship of the gopis with Krishna. He would not allow. He would only allow certain persons to read that. He insisted that they only read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, kind of. Interesting. That's why Prabhupada, when he presented his Krishna book, he gave so much philosophy, guiding us, not to become confused, not to become attached to something that just creates problems in our development. So now it's 9 o'clock. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments? Du stellst doch normalerweise immer Fragen. War das alles klar heute?
Ja, alles klar. Nur eine Frage. Am Anfang, wo da stand im Srimad Bhagavatam, dass man sich nicht kümmern sollte, um Glück zu bekommen. Also nicht zu bemühen, glücklich zu werden. Ja. Aber das ist, glaube ich, das ist zum Beispiel, wenn jetzt zum Beispiel jemand krank ist, das ist nicht darauf bezogen. Das ist jetzt auch, wenn man jetzt zum Beispiel gesund ist, jetzt nicht unnötig, sag ich mal, Reiche machen. Oder wenn jetzt zum Beispiel jemand leidet.
Prabhupada hat uns gelehrt, dass wir alles akzeptieren sollen, was förderlich ist im hingebungsvollen Dienst, und alles zurückweisen, was nicht förderlich ist im hingebungsvollen Dienst. Und dann hat Prabhupada uns gelehrt, dass das Wichtigste, die erste Notwendigkeit, wie sagt man, ist die Gesundheit. Weil wenn wir nicht gesund sind, haben wir Probleme im hingebungsvollen Dienst, in der Ausführung des hingebungsvollen Dienstes. Denn mit anderen Worten, Prabhupada hat uns gesagt, wir sollten alles andere stoppen und uns bemühen, unsere Gesundheit wieder zu erlangen.
Ja, weil ich sehe zum Beispiel auch in der Devotee-Welt, aber allgemein in der ganzen Welt, viele haben psychische, was auch Srila Prabhupada sagt, dass meistens 99% der Krankheiten sind eigentlich auf der mentalen Ebene oder psychische. Nur 1% ist eher physisch. Deshalb sollte man sich eher so drum kümmern, anstatt das so.
Für uns ist das Wichtigste, dass wir uns im hingebungsvollen Dienst beschäftigen können. Und alles, was förderlich ist, das akzeptieren wir. Und alles, was nicht förderlich ist, das geben wir auf. Ja? So, wenn wir Probleme in unserem Körper haben, dann sollten wir uns bemühen, das so gut wie möglich zu machen. Ja? Und unsere Gesundheit, und uns gesund zu erhalten auch. Ja? Weil dieser Körper gehört im Grunde uns gar nicht, der gehört im Grunde Krishna. Der hat uns den zur Verfügung gestellt. Das ist das wirkliche Verständnis. Nele Mama, nichts ist mein Eigentum, alles ist Krishnas Eigentum. Und deshalb müssen wir uns dementsprechend darum kümmern. Verantwortungsvoll sein. Wie sagt man, verantwortungsvoll verhalten. Ja. Oder?
Ich hätte schon eine Frage. Das bedeutet, man muss eben auch jeden Tag in den Schriften lesen, kultivieren, das Wissen kultivieren. Das stimmt, oder?
Das ist eine Frage oder ist das
Das ist halt eine Frage.
ob wir das machen sollen?
Ja, ob es halt so ist.
Ja. Es gibt aber auch, es gibt verschiedene Naturen. Ne? Es gibt Devotees, die sind ganz mehr angezogen, die Bücher zu lesen als andere. Ja? Und die nicht so angezogen sind, die Bücher zu lesen, die sollten sich beschäftigen. Die sollten richtig beschäftigt werden, dass sie sich immer konzentrieren auf ihre Pflichten im hingebungsvollen Dienst. Und das ist nur eine Frage von Zeit, dass man dann auch ein Interesse entwickelt, dass man Geschmack entwickelt am Hören. Das ist eine Frage von Entwicklung. Ja? Ne? Zum Beispiel auch die Leute, die angezogen werden. Ne? Da gibt es Leute, die sind mehr intellektuell, die haben vielleicht mal schon mal die Bhagavad Gita gelesen und haben Fragen dazu. Ne? Ne? Und andere, die sind nicht so vorgebildet oder so, haben nicht diese Tendenzen, sondern die werden von anderen Dingen angezogen. Von der Gemeinschaft, von den Zeremonien, vom Chanten und so. Ne? Ja. Es gibt viele Devotees, ich weiß nicht, heute ist es ein bisschen anders vielleicht, aber ganz am Anfang, da waren viele Personen, die hatten gar keine Tendenzen, philosophische Tendenzen, sondern die waren leidenschaftlich und die machten Sachen und bauten Haus und man weiß was. Ne? Und wenn die in der Klasse waren, ne? Eingeschlafen. Das erinnert mich daran, dass manchmal, wenn vor Prabhupada jemand einschlief, ne? Direkt vor Prabhupada, sagte Prabhupada, go in the back. Geh da hinten hin. Ja?
Man hat noch eine Frage wegen der Asche. Also man bringt jetzt natürlich die Asche von einem Verstorbenen zu einem heiligen Ort oder in den heiligen Flüsse. Das machen ja auch, glaube ich, zum Beispiel nicht nur Devotees, sondern ganz normale, die einfach das Vedische befolgen. Also Karmakanda, die zum Beispiel jetzt keine Devotees sind, so Hare Krishna Devotees, aber auch zum Beispiel so Halbgötterverehrung.
Was hast du vor?
Nein, die Frage ist nur, ist das irgendwie in den Schriften so gesagt, dass es irgendwie einen Nutzen für die ist? Also was ist der Benefit, wenn man zum Beispiel...
Ja, das hilft ihnen, frei zu werden von der Anhaftung an den Körper. Das ist einer der Gründe, weshalb die Körper so Asche wird. Ne? Weil wenn die Seele den Körper aufgibt, dann ist sie immer noch im Raum, ist immer noch da. Ne? Und vor allem, wenn sie sehr angehaftet war am Körper, dann bleibt sie da. Oder die bleiben auch in dem Haus, wo sie gewohnt haben. Und so. Ja? Weil sie so angehaftet sind.
Und dann macht man das mal einen heiligen Ort.
Ja, und wenn der Körper verbrannt wird, dann ist... Ja, das hilft den Seelen frei zu werden von dieser Anhaftung.
Warum bringt man das zu einem heiligen Ort? Hat das auch noch einen bestimmten Hintergrund? Oder?
Weil das ein heiliger Ort ist, weil das alles heilig ist an dem Platz. Alles glückverheißend. Ja. Oder? Die Lamida, was hast du denn dazu? Ha? Ja. Srila Prabhupada ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki.
Swami Bhakti Maharaj ki jai.